Well, good morning, my beautiful people of YouTube. It's nice to see you this morning. It's Manic Monday. No, it is Manic Monday. Guys, I want to tell you, happy Manic Monday. It's nice to see you this beautiful Monday morning where you guys are getting up and just eager to get out there and go to work, right? Well, hopefully we can get you on your way a little bit easier, a little bit better, and a little bit more informed. Please take a look. We're going through our daily breaking case updates. This is just filling you in with some information about your latest and greatest updates on the cases that we've been covering. So check it out. I want to start out because I just think everybody should see how angry Chris Proudfoot is. The true Christopher Proudfoot.
Okay, a lot of the information that I've been listening to on your show, coming from Chloe, the questions that are coming through people, it's very sickening and disgusting, to be personally honest with you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a very pissed off stepfather to this whole situation.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere. True crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Well, good morning, my beautiful people. Happy Manic Monday. No, not Monday. It's Monday. It's nice to see everybody this beautiful Monday. It's pretty dark outside from where I can stand. So at the end of the day, we're doing our breaking daily updates, which are sponsored by our subscribers here on TikTok. So if you would like to be part of the morning breaking updates, please get up here and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channel here on TikTok. We have a lot to go over. We're going to be doing some updates on a few cases this morning, and then we'll get over to Sebastian Rogers. We got a couple of topics of conversation. But before we go too much further, I wanted to talk about this case right here. If you guys don't know who this is Alec Mura, okay? He was a very notable lawyer in Low Country, South Carolina. He is accused of murdering his son Paul and his wife Maggie back in 2021. And he's been just riddled with a whole bunch of lawsuits, a whole bunch of crimes and stuff like that. He right now is spending the rest of his life behind bars. But after he was convicted of the homicide of both his wife and his son, he had to go to court for financial crimes. Part of the motive behind these homicides was there was a boat wreck that his son Paul was in, where a young lady lost her life by the name of Mallory Beach. Mallory Beach's family was suing the Murdaugh family. They were able to break through, even though Paul Murdaugh was over the age of 18, because it was his dad's boat, and he was under the influence, and his family knew that he got behind the wheel of cars and was using his brother's driver's license to get alcohol and things like that. So they were able to break that veil and make him financially responsible. He was supposed to be turning over his financial documents. And that was days before his wife and son were killed on their family property. It was because he was stealing money and basically putting it into an account that sounded like an annuity type of account, Forge. He made this fake account. Long story short, he stole a lot of money from people. So after the homicide trial, he had to go and face his financial crimes. They gave him a sweetheart deal. He was facing over 100 felonies, 100 different financial crimes. They whittled him down to 20. All he had to do was tell the truth. And part of that plea deal was he had to pass a polygraph. He couldn't pass the polygraph. The feds pulled that deal. And so now Alec Muraugh's appealing the sentencing to his financial crimes. He got a very heavy sentencing for that particular case. So that's all I wanted to let you know. It looks like, which we all knew, Alec Muraugh was going to be appealing this anyways. Before we get started, lastly, this is another case in Tennessee. This is Layla Santinello. She disappeared. It's a little hinky when she disappeared because of certain details. So I'm going to say I'm going back to June 26th, June 27th area of when she disappeared, because some of the information we had was related to a different woman wearing similar clothes that was also running from her husband in the same area. And she just so happened to be without shoes as well. So it kind of put this case into a little bit of a tailspin. Layla is a mom. Her mother, Jennifer Santinello, you guys probably recognize her. I had the privilege of meeting Jennifer Santinello. I've been out in Sullivan County searching for her daughter many times. My team has really just put our arms around this particular family. We have for a significant amount of time. Her daughter just had her 3rd birthday, Nova Grace, and it's just breaking my heart that her daughter is going to be, living life without her mother. Her grandmother, which is Jennifer Santinello, a beautiful lady, not a perfect lady, none of us are, but a beautiful lady, a beautiful soul, a woman that wants to find her child and wants to reunite her granddaughter with her daughter. Each passing day, that's, obviously the hope dwindles. Layla Santinello's boyfriend is currently behind bars right now for sending her mother messages saying, I need this money, otherwise you're going to find your daughter in pieces. Right around the same time that her daughter truly, in fact, disappeared. So the case needs, this is another Tennessee case, no body. So it's, we've dealt with Summer Wells. We're dealing with Sebastian Rogers. If we don't find her, it's not getting solved. That's just how Tennessee is. I'm disheartened, but I don't like Tennessee because of that. So if you have any information about Layla Santinello, please reach out to the Sullivan County Police Department in any place. If you guys see any of these victims, you know what? Don't sit there and try to search what number you need to call. 911 works in every single area code, zip code, and any type of place that you could possibly be. Just pick up the phone if you see one of our victims and dial 911. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Elijah Vu, this is the 3-year-old out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Prosecutors and defense team meeting behind closed doors without judges or anything, trying to work out a plea deal or some kind of something, some type of deal with Katrina Bauer over her son. Maybe to locate the son, I'm unsure, but we have some closed doors meetings with the state attorney as well as the defense attorney, and we don't know what they're discussing there. But many people believe that Katrina Bauer really doesn't know where her son is, that Jesse Vang holds all the answers, that she just happened to drop her son off over there and took off, and that's what they're basically alleging. Now, she's trying to say that she was in Wisconsin Dells or whatever Dells there, and I think that's where she was lying. I think she wasn't at Jesse Vang's house, but she's been staying there. I think she was, working the way, addicts work. So I think that that's really what truly happened. Her mom is saying that, she feels like her daughter would have broke by now if she really knew more. And that's coming from her mother, and her mother has not been easy on her. So I have to try to believe mom, because mom so far has been right, about this particular case. So that's really all I have for that. So now we're going to get into what most of you guys are here for, and that is Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy that has disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And his father, or his stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, was on a interview with this group called, or this woman called Web Sleuths. And Web Sleuths did this interview. She was a very calm lady. It was a very interesting interview, to say the least. It lasted about 2 hours, but a few things that we noticed is it appears that Chris Proudfoot is fraying. Okay, he's fraying. He's starting to. The pressure is starting to break him. It absolutely is starting to break him. He was a more frazzled. He appeared to be under the influence of either alcohol or some other substances on this particular interview. He blew gaskets over some of the stupidest, questions, good questions, not stupid questions, but not anything that you should blow a gasket over. For example, one of the questions was this a normal weekend? And he just went off. Like, it just didn't matter. He just absolutely went off, and all they were basically just trying to find out was whether Sebastian Rogers was overstimulated that particular weekend. Many people have autistic children that are on these platforms, and they kind of inform us because they understand people don't know about autism. So we have beautiful people here that have children that have all different ranges on the spectrum for autism, from being high functioning to having major issues, major disabilities from this autism. And here we're dealing with a higher functioning autistic boy, but it still appears that autism, you can overstimulate. And when you overstimulate an autistic child, it has some type of negative effect or consequence. For example, they will start having outrage. They'll start having fits, may start injuring themselves or others. So this was the direction that the lady, she was just trying to find out, if there's anything that could have set Sebastian off, like overstimulation. He lost his stuff over that. He lost his stuff over the PIs just wanting to quell some rumors. He started screaming about how, Seth ended up going on to this interview, and Seth was very calm. I mean, very calm. You can tell Chris is a very domineering, controlling person. It's well established in this interview on Web Sleuths. This is Web Sleuths up here. They're on YouTube. This is the video that I'm actually talking about. So look for this thumbnail, and we welcome the private investigators for the missing, case of missing Sebastian Rogers. This is where the interview is. It's about an hour in. It's about a 2-hour interview. So I think I fast forwarded it right about here, and there was like a little square box that was grayed out right here, and that's where that was Chris Proudfoot. So I just fast forwarded it all the way to that point until I saw that gray square box, and I listened to it from there. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because there is a lot of commentary. This particular creator had to work really hard to keep Chris calm. Chris was not a calm man in this interview. He was a raging lunatic, to be honest with you, if you ask me. He was very combative. I know I sound like a broken record. This is a lot of the, how should I explain this? A lot of the professionals out there, a lot of the people that have been analyzing this case from deception to body language to wordology, I guess is, I don't know what they call them, linguistic people, the people that study speech patterns and stuff like that. Well, a lot of people have had their hands on the Sebastian Rogers case. And many people have focused on the fact that the father or the stepfather and the mother keep stating that he walked out the door. So many of these people are saying they know he walked out the door. And I totally disagree with that analysis. Just because they say it over and over again doesn't mean they physically saw him walk out the door. I believe that was deception. I believe that was deception all day long. And when you ask them, and again, this is another point of contention where Christopher Proudfoot felt so accused and so insulted and just... I don't know. He blew a gasket. What can I say? He blew a gasket over every freaking question on here. And so he was being honed in, like, how do you know he walked out that door? And he's like, well, are you trying to say somebody came into my house? It's like, it's got to be one or the other. And there was just something around this combativeness, around this whole, how did he leave? Like, he spent 20 minutes screaming at them for even asking him a question. He's on an interview screaming at people for asking him for a question. You guys are not understanding this. He says it's the most conceivable way for Sebastian Rogers to leave. All the other doors were locked. So every single door that morning, she got up and checked, and they were all locked. Every single door in the house, including that front door, was locked. However, the front door is the only door that has a keypad. That Sebastian can code in a key and unlock the door from the outside without needing a physical key. And when you leave, there's a way to lock that door. They're basically saying that he remembered to go out the door and turn around and hit the lock button, but he didn't remember to put his shoes on his way out the door. I just find the whole thing bizarre. But that's the reason why they believe he left. Not that they physically saw him, not that it's because it goes into their narrative. It goes into their he ran away story. And Chris's exact words is, it's the most conceivable way for him to leave. That is the only reason why they believe he got up in the middle of the night and walked out the door. Because he does not believe anybody could have possibly gotten into his home. And obviously no foul plays involved, so he had to have walked out the home. And if he walked out the home, the front door is the most conceivable way, not the garage door. Now remember, the garage door also has a button on it, but they're saying Sebastian does not know that code. You don't need a code to hit the button to make the garage door come down. So is it possible he went out the garage door? I mean, it is possible in my opinion. We did confirm that Christopher said those horrible, infamous words about Chris needing to go to church to find his son. There was a different variation that he said about that. Oh, and then this is another, we're going to be talking about this and breaking this down because this is going to be part of this story, I can already tell, is what are the potential computer searches for a case like this would we expect to find on, say, a suspect's computer. We found out there was 3 dog hits that led down to that path. There was one point that Chris said something, and it kind of freaked me out. And I've got it written down somewhere. I just don't know which pad I've got it written down on, but I got it written down. Hopefully you guys, you guys are going to fall. Hold on a second. This freaked me out. I got to be honest with you. Like, totally freaked out. I think it's on this one. Stepped off the front porch. So, Christopher Proudfoot, the stepfather of this missing autistic boy, obviously, he's professing and proclaiming to us that he was not home at the time that his stepson disappeared. And when he goes through this situation, and like I said, he was combative on just about every question, very insulting to the women. Like, he talked down to women, like had no problem publicly being totally disrespectful to an entire panel of women. If that doesn't tell you anything about who Christopher Proudfoot is. I truly believe this interview that he gave to Web Sleuths is probably more in line with how people have to deal with Chris Proudfoot. I believe Chris Proudfoot showed his true colors. I truly do believe. Because, when you're under stress and you've got to be perfect, and then you got a little bit of alcohol, and you probably go a little bit further than you should. Next thing you know, you forget what environment you're in, and you're back to being yourself, right? But it's the stepped off the porch. She goes through all of this and says this is the most conceivable way before he stepped off the porch and disappeared. And out of all the interviews we've watched, we all have been sitting here watching this whole entire situation unfold before our very eyes. We all have our own position, our own opinion about what happened. We have even our own opinion about who's responsible. We got people that believe Katie did this. We got people believing that Seth is somehow involved with this, that he didn't want his son. And we also have a good portion, probably the majority portion, the lion's share, believes Christopher Proudfoot did this. I'm not sure personally, just my personal opinion, who did this. I don't know if it was Christopher Proudfoot or Katie Proudfoot that harmed Sebastian. However, I do at this moment believe Sebastian has been harmed. At this moment, I do believe that Sebastian is gone. At this moment, I believe that his parents know a heck of a lot more, and I also believe the Bowersocks are somehow involved as an accessory of some sort. Most likely an accessory after the fact, I truly believe. There is one angle that I have not really talked about. I was, considering talking about it, but the other thing is about this case that nobody's really focusing on is Chris and Katie and the Bowersocks. It's not just one or the other. They're both of them. We're so focused on Chris and Katie, we're not looking at ancillary people on the outside that we think may have some type of involvement potentially, right? And I don't like the Bowersocks because I've watched them track down people driving and thinking that they could pull them over and threaten them and intimidate them into not covering a case. I have a huge problem with that. That shows me demeanor. That shows me who they are as a person, their integrity, their character, And so I had already identified I wasn't really a fan of the Bowersocks. However, that wasn't, that didn't have a whole lot to do. So what? I'm not too friendly with the Bowersocks. But when you look at the timeline, it just seems like it makes sense. We've heard that people saw what appeared to be Kathy's car near the school that morning while Katie was driving around. We're hearing that Chris was on the job at 6:15 in the morning, though he didn't get on his crane or didn't have to start work until 7. These are things that we're hearing. I haven't confirmed any of this stuff yet because I'm not there. I trust my work more than I trust anybody else's work, and right now I'm relying on everybody else's work but my own. So the only thing I can really do that's my own work is review maps and review maps in accordance with the timeline to see if things make sense and hopefully identify a potential area for me to search when I do eventually get there. But it's the Bowersocks and the Proudfoots can't stay home. Have you guys noticed that? From out the gate, there's been excuses after excuses after excuses why the Bowersocks keep going to every vacation hotspot known to man. Christopher Proudfoot's excuse to that is that his stepfather had a job and his mom is accompanying his father to these jobs. I don't know what his stepdad does for work. I haven't looked into it, nor am I too highly invested or interested in it. That's what he says the whole trip was to Alaska was for work. Well, they're not even in Alaska right now, and from my understanding, they're not home. They're on an island. So, I mean, I find it funny that, he's like, we don't have all this money and they're not taking vacations, but they've been in pretty exotic places, for at least a month since their grandson disappeared. Definitely not the grandparents of the year that are out there beating the pavement. Like, I know grandparents that have step grandchildren that, if something, God forbid, happened to them, they would be one of the first people out there searching. And these people, their first thought is, you know what, we got work to do. Let's get off to Alaska. When we get off from Alaska, we'll go to a beach paradise. That's what we'll do. That seems more responsible, and that'll at least show that we have our priorities in the right spot. Yeah, I'm sarcastic as hell, if you guys picked up on that. As you know, I love going through and listening to people's opinions. These are the Joes. These are the normal Joes of the world that, just want information and come to these Facebook groups and, get to express their opinion and see if other people hold their same viewpoint. It's a great place to share information, among other things. So I always like to bring some of their stuff in. So let's read some of their stuff, shall we? So it says, I find it odd that Chris Proudfoot got Seth the job as a CO. I can't, the people that are in the prisons, the correction officers. Then he gets scheduled to work on his weekends that he's supposed to get his son. So he changes weekdays. He changes weekdays with his ex and his son. In CP's own word, vanishes off the front porch in the middle of the night. It could be just a coincidence, but I find it odd. I find everything that Chris and Katie have said to be odd, because everything that they say, we fact check. And I'm not meaning by we as Team Bullhorn Betty. I'm talking about we as the true crime community. We literally fact check everything. If it goes up, within a few minutes, we're going to know whether it holds water or not. Some of these things take a little harder to confirm or corroborate than others, but I promise you, if it's not me doing it, it's probably 10 or 100 other channels, working to fact check all of this information. And I don't trust Chris Proudfoot. Why do I not trust Chris Proudfoot? Because Chris Proudfoot has lied to us since the beginning. One of the first lies was that he's cleared and passed the lie detector test. And now he's just now trying to convince us that he truly now took the polygraph test and passed it. I don't believe it. Call me crazy. Many people do, right? Many people do. Lordy. So I'm trying to get these further down because I got a lot of stuff that's right up here when I'm running a live here on TikTok and I can't read it. So I try to bring it down just a little bit so I can read it to you guys. It just makes it flow a little bit better. So I'm going to move out of the way and try to read this for you. So bear with me. It's a lot. Watching the Web Sleuth's interview, did anyone else notice when she asked if Sebastian had nightmares? CP, Chris Proudfoot, says Sebastian, had sleep issues, and he hasn't been really sleeping a lot. That's why he stopped. Out that it's been his whole life. I can't read this stuff. I'm sorry, guys. What has he been is my question. I think there's a lot of misspellings here. Why did he not finish that statement? Been misbehaving, acting out on sleeping medications? What? We all know whenever Seth does something like go off on people, he says he hasn't been sleeping much. Does Sebastian get aggressive or lash out when he's tired? If so, how do they punish him for that? Did they give him extra dose of sleeping medications? So many questions. So they're honing on the questions. Okay, I got it now. They're honing on the sleep issues and the possibility of an outburst, which kind of goes in line with what one of the PIs asked when Chris Proudfoot lost a gasket. She was basically asking, was this a normal weekend? I myself wanted to know whether this was a spontaneous type of weekend or not. I don't know if we will ever know that or not. Katie, come out and tell all. People are calling Katie Proudfoot out. Why are people calling Katie Proudfoot out? Because we got Christopher Proudfoot being the spokesperson when he wasn't even around at the time that Sebastian disappeared. Where's Mom? People want to know where Mom is. And why isn't she talking? And why is she not responding to any emails? And why is Chris taking the forefront on this when she was the only one that knows what happened, because she was the only one that states that she was there. She was there when they arrived back home from the steakhouse. She was there when Sebastian went to bed. She was on the phone with her husband for 3 hours while studying for her college. You know, she was the only person there. Yet she is the person that is being hidden the most. It feels so Candace Bly, doesn't it? Where Don Wells took over the case, right? And then we're going to have a little bit of a mind-blowing session. So stick around. We're not quite there yet. We got a few more slides here. CP made the $1 million comment, then lectures the podcaster about all the views he's getting for being on her, or how all the views she's getting for him being on her show. Then tells her she should take the money and basically donate it to the cause, meaning them. He seemed shocked when Trish told him they didn't make money off the podcast. Am I the only one who caught that? No, I caught that too. He's a greedy POS, and he did actually say that. He said that he thought that everybody that's making money off his, unless you're telling this to CNN and your local news, I don't want you coming knocking on my door. You interview with me, you interview with me. I travel this country. I got to keep the lights on and pay that, I'm sorry, my credit card bill doesn't say, oh, you flew for missing person case. Okay, we'll waive that charge for you, ma'am. It doesn't work like that, okay? It doesn't work like that for none of us. And you can tell Chris is so happy with law enforcement not doing anything and not getting anywhere in the case. And he is just he's just gleaning. Oh yeah, I know they're doing everything, but I understand that they can't spend, every waking minute on my child. I've never heard any parent ever say that. I've heard people getting, angry that law enforcement can't spend every waking minute on their child. Far from ever being understanding when it's their child missing, but apparently Chris is not the father of the year that he thinks he is. And I found this one interesting. This is a lady talking about, getting more flyers out, and because people in her area have no clue that this child is missing. And guys, I want to let you know this child could be anywhere. You can go on there and pull that endangered person, missing person flyer. It's on Google. It's on TBI. You can get it from the official source and download it. You can go to your printer. It doesn't have to be color copies or anything, nothing fancy. And you can print yourself out, 25 copies or 50 copies, and go post those in your own community. Whether you're in Tennessee or not, these kids, we don't know where they are. They could really be anywhere. And in the grand scheme of things, we never know. We never know. So go out there, print yourself off your own copies, and know that they're being posted because you're posting them, You don't have to worry about or guess or second guess whether somebody has gotten out in your community and helped. And I like this one, and we're going to end on this one, and I've got one other comment to make. Nobody cares about how mad you are, Chris, and acting a fool on YouTube makes you look worse. And we want to hear from Katie, the mother, not you, who is supposedly, let me get out of the way, supposedly hasn't been there in a month. And I think that's the sentiments of many people watching this case unfold, is that. So, lastly, this is Madeline Soto. She is a 13-year-old girl. She actually disappeared on the exact same day that Sebastian Rogers disappeared. She disappeared from Kissimmee, Florida. Her mother's boyfriend, Stefan Sterns, this man right here, was arrested 2 days after she disappeared and 2 days before they found her remains. He was arrested because of graphic images on his phone depicting this girl right here. The affidavit was something I couldn't read online. It was awful. This poor girl was abused in every way, shape, and form. okay? Nobody knew. Her friends didn't know. Her step-parents, or her stepmom and her biological father had just had her in October, and she never let anybody know what was going on. I don't know, we all believe that there is some culpability from her mother, whether it's just an endangerment, negligent type of thing, or, it might be more serious. Her mom has not been charged yet, but her remains, her ashes were given to her father, Tyler Wallace. Why am I bringing this up? Because it wasn't until this was posted, and I don't know why it caught my attention, but it was the very first sentence up there. Will Stefan Sterns show up? And I started thinking about that, and I said, you know what? What does Chris, Katie, and Stefan Sterns all have in common? They refuse to show up. They hide like cowards. They hide from the public. They don't want people to see who they are as human beings. We now see him. We see him very clearly. Do you know he has not showed up for one court hearing? Not one. You know why? Because he doesn't want the whole world to see him. His veil has been removed, and it's time for us to remove the veil from Katie and Christopher Proudfoot. So guys, I just want to tell you all, thank you very much for being here. Again, this morning live is sponsored by our subscribers. So if you would like to help these morning lives grow, please go up here and become one of our monthly subscribers. This is the only show that we have specifically for our subscribers, where we go into these cases. And I'm happy to answer your questions during this time about the cases. And if I don't have the answers, we look it up. We have the time to get to the bottom of these things here. So guys, you make it a great day. I know today is a manic Monday. No! But I hope and pray that we at least started you guys off right with our updates. And for those that are just tuning in or passing by, Alec Mura is officially appealing his financial crimes. We still have Layla Santinello, a 21-year-old beautiful girl missing out of Kingsport, Tennessee. This is the same area that Summer Wells disappeared. We also have another case out of that same area. Her name is Holland Snap. All of these cases have been unsolved so far in Tennessee, and now we have Sebastian Rogers, which if we do not find him, he will be added to the collection of these beautiful faces that we have been following for quite some time. And I really want to help give some answers to Jennifer Santinello. Jennifer Santinello is the mother of Layla Santinello. She's become a very powerful voice here on TikTok, in my opinion. And I know that she wavers and struggles every day trying to find answers to her daughter, also raising her daughter's child, her granddaughter. Her granddaughter just had a 3-year birthday. So if you guys know anything about me, I love to spread the love. So if you're out there, maybe shoot on over to Jennifer Santinello's page. Give her a like, give her some words of affirmation, give her some words of encouragement, let her know she's not alone, and just support her. Support her any way that you possibly can as she struggles through this journey of trying to find answers with her daughter. And of course, Elijah Vu, the 3-year-old out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin, still no answers. It sounds like prosecutors and the defense attorney for Katrina Bauer are meeting behind closed doors. We don't know if they're working out some kind of information, if they're working out some kind of plea deal, if they're just, what they're doing. We do know that Katrina Bauer has not been able to raise the $15,000 needed to bond herself out of jail. And so that really does wrap everything up. And then we, of course, get back to the interview that Chris had with Web Sleuths, completely botching that entire interview, making them look worse than better. And that is our roundup for this morning. So you guys have a great day. God bless you. And we'll see you this afternoon. Get your butts to work. You're needed. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for your favorite content creator. Yours truly, me.